This is how I found out my husband is seeing an underage girl. I'm a 25-year-old woman. When I first met my husband, I was 16 years old. I now realize how much he groomed me. I was 16, I decided to sign up for my local gym. As soon as I walked in, my husband saw me and tried to get me to sign up. He was one of the personal trainers at the gym. Now, here's the thing. I was a 16-year-old girl. Not a lot of boys had paid attention to me up until that point. I was overweight in high school and I got constantly made fun of. I even had a bully that called me tubby in front of the entire class. As you can imagine, when I signed up for the gym, I was determined to lose weight. So when I met him at the gym that day, I instantly started liking him. He was extremely handsome. He had a chiseled face and was in incredibly good shape, as you can imagine. And he was really sweet to me. When we first met, he was 22 years old. He became my personal trainer, and after a few weeks of training, he started calling me sweet names. He would say things like, "You're so beautiful, making such great progress, I'm so proud of you." And eventually he started calling me princess. And it worked because I was falling in love. At the time I didn't realize it, but he was grooming me. I was 16 and he was 22. The more weight I began to lose, the more affectionate he would become. Mind you, he's my trainer. Trusted everything he was doing. Like I said in part 1, I was already falling in love with him. By the time I had lost 30 pounds, I was completely head over heels for him. And at this point, he started buying me flowers and chocolates. He would find reasons to give me a gift all the time. When he asked me out to go to dinner, he said that he wanted to congratulate me for the hard work that I'd been doing. Of course, I didn't go home and tell my parents that my personal trainer had invited me to dinner. Went to dinner with him, and after that, we were together every single day. He asked me to be his girlfriend and I said yes. We quickly began to do everything a boyfriend and girlfriend do. When I turned 18, we decided to tell my parents about the relationship. My parents were furious. They only knew him as my personal trainer. My dad instantly forbade the relationship, but we still ended up getting married when I was 19. That's when my personal hell began. I started catching him cheating all the time. It's like he almost didn't care that I would find out. He was always texting other girls. None of them were underage. And he always promised that he would do better, so I stayed with him. Until I found out he liked children. I had caught him cheating 5 times at this point. I know what you're telling yourself, how stupid could I be to stay with a man like that? But I was just so attracted and so in love with him, I couldn't leave him. But then the worst thing happened. Decided to put him to the test. Told him I was going out of town to visit a friend and he believed me. But do you think I really did? No. I got a hotel room. Later that night, I went back to my house. Looked through the window and I see my husband sitting on our couch with what I thought was a woman. I unlocked the door and burst in furious. The woman turns back to look at me. And that's when I see a child. A 12-year-old child. I honestly didn't automatically assume anything wrong. I asked him, "What is this little girl doing here?" That's when the little girl looks at me and tells me he's my boyfriend. My knees began to tremble. At this point, all the memories of him and I meeting come back to me. I began to realize how he groomed me and that this little girl was there for you know what. I didn't even hesitate. Took the little girl up to my bedroom and locked the door. Called the police and they arrived fast. On his phone, they had found 14 different conversations with underage girls. One of them being my own cousin. Did I make a story time about that? Anyway, he's in jail now.
Here is my moving to New York story time. So I was really in between New York and LA for the longest, but I had already lived in LA. And my psychic told me I was going to move to New York, so I was like, okay, New York it is. Wanted to move to New York for my career, but also because I honestly was miserable in Chicago and I just really wanted to get out of there. At first I was like, I'll probably live alone because I was living alone in Chicago and I was just like, I don't know, that's probably what I'll do. And I had a really weird lease. Like mine was up in March and like nobody moves in March. But New York is insanely expensive and this was like my first time moving to a new city. Like I needed a roommate. So normally everybody goes on a Facebook group to find their roommates. But I was still a little bit delusional and I was like, you know what? I'll just live alone. But then my friend was like, hey, I have a friend moving to film this with you listening. It's so funny. Literally my roommate's listening to me record this right now. And my friend was like, okay, I have a friend moving to New York. I think you guys would be great together. You're probably around the same budget and you are both moving at the exact same time. I was like, okay, slay, give me her number. My roommate and I texted literally for like a week and we're like, yeah, everything seems good. Let's just live together. Okay, wait, I knew my roommate was the one because we went on a little date. That's weird. We went on a lunch date to like meet each other and immediately like we just couldn't stop talking the whole time. Like she sat down and she was like, oh, I went here for dinner last night. And I was like, oh my God, I've been drugged there so many times. And then we just like deep dove on everything. And at the end of the lunch, I was like pulling out my wallet and my rose quartz crystal like flew at her, which is like really fucking embarrassing that like my crystal literally flew at her. I'm like, oh my God, like my bad, that's my crystal. And she's like, oh my God, I love that. So I was like confident in my decision. I was like, we're gonna be great roommates. Okay, flash forward to January. It's time for us to start apartment hunting. She flies out and I'm supposed to fly out like a week later. One thing about New York apartment hunting, it is like a bloodbath. It literally is like a full-time job. It's so intense. Like you have to go to the apartments ready to sign, ready to like have all your paperwork there and everything like that. Keep in mind, we had a horrible broker and he was weird. Richard. Literally a mood, and you'll see why. As soon as we start apartment hunting, my friend dies. So like, I'm literally only focused on the fact that my friend just died. So my friend dies, and that's the only thing that I'm focused on whatsoever. Getting anxiety because I'm like, okay, I can't miss the funeral, but I fly to New York in like 2 days to apartment hunt. Like, this is when I knew my roommate was like really for me, because she was like, okay, she just like handled all of it and would just like send me the apartments and FaceTime me during that. And she knew that I was like, obviously not 100% there because I'm focused on my dead friend. So I'm like, okay, she's the one for me, because I just wasn't mentally there during this process. So we find this beautiful apartment in an amazing location for a pretty good price. One of our credits is bad, and the one of it is me. I'm like, whatever, I'll have my mom be my guarantor. And they're like, no. So we're like, wait, I'm literally fucked because we love this apartment. What do we do? My mom told me to tell the guy that I'd pay 6 months up front, so I did just that. We're like, okay, perfect, like, you'll just pay 6 months up front. But when my mom said this, I thought my mom was, like, helping me out a little, and I would just give her the rent payments every single month. And so when I said that to her, she was like, absolutely fucking not. I'm like, well, I don't have $15,000 to give the man right now. Why did you say that? In the midst of this, we have this insane broker that's blowing up our phone like 24/7. About dumb stuff, too. He literally was, like, no help with the apartment at all. At this point, I'm like, fuck, I literally think we're about to lose this apartment. But I call my friend she's in real estate, and she tells me about like this guarantor thing that I can do. And I'm like, okay, perfect. The only issue with that is like, it's a pretty penny. But I'm like, whatever, that's fine. Whatever I have to do to get me to New York. Mind you, like, my broker should have told me about, but instead he was like, you better come up with like that 15 grand to pay them. And I'm like, what? That would have just been like a $20,000 move with like first month's, last month's security deposit, and then me paying my Chicago movers. So flash forward, we get the apartment, all is well. But in New York, there's this thing called a broker fee. And our broker fee was just 1 month's rent, which was like $4,000. So we didn't really know he was our broker because the apartment said no broker fee on the listing. So we're like, okay, we don't have to pay a broker fee whatsoever, because this random man just showed us this apartment. So we're like, we got lucky. And our building manager's like, yeah, no, we don't have a broker for this apartment. Our property manager's like, I've actually never heard of this man. So we're like, we're not paying a broker fee. This man starts blowing up our phones and threatening us like nonstop, like a grown man is threatening us. 1, he was scary. 2, he was like blowing up our phones, like calling us nonstop. And also, I'm talking to my lawyer throughout this whole thing, and my lawyer's like, you're fine, like, you don't have to pay him. But now this broker is blowing up our property manager, being like, if they don't pay me, I'm taking everybody to court. And we're like, oh, fuck. So we settle on paying him half the amount that we were supposed to. But this is where it gets sketchy. He's like, they both need to give it to me in cash. And we're like, what the fuck? So we both had to go to the bank, get $1 grand in cash, and lug it through New York City. Like, I literally had $1 grand of cash on me in the subway, which is like not smart. I get to the property. I have to hand my property manager the cash because like we cannot meet this man in person. It's like too scary. And my property manager just looks at me and he's like, eventful morning, huh? I'm like, yeah. But that's the story time of how I moved to New York City, and I would do it all over again.
How I got disowned. So growing up, my parents were very religious. Like, I could literally not wear any short sleeves. I couldn't wear shorts, not even booty shorts. Like, even to my knees, I was not allowed. And I kind of felt left out. So in high school, I would, like, sneak in clothes. I would have, like, all this really cute lingerie. And, like, not even that I was wearing it for anyone. It was because it was, like, that whole trend where you would wear, like, jeans and a cute lingerie and, like, a little dress shirt. Like, that was the trend back in the day. And I just wanted to be like those girls, you know? So I pretty much had this entire double life growing up. And then it was time for me to go to university. And somehow this girl who was literally not even allowed past sunset convinced my parents to go out of the city for school. So the only condition for me going to school out of the city was that I would come home every weekend. Because they're like, oh, we don't want you to party. And I was like, in my head, I can literally party Monday through Thursday, so that's not stopping me. Okay, but I won't lie, I got over the party thing in literally like a week. Like, I hated going out. Anyways, I'm living my best life, and then I'm about to go on a date, and then out of nowhere, my dad messages me, and he's all like, you're dropping out of school. I can't believe I sent you here. He's like, I have all the photos. And I'm like, what photos? Like, after that phone call, I was genuinely so scared. I was like, what did he find? What did I do? So I'm literally freaking out because I'm like, this man is literally going to come here and murder me. And he's like, I'm coming on Wednesday to pick you up. I'm going to explain everything, yada, yada. And then he's like, I have photos of you half naked. So the day comes when he's finally there and he comes to talk to me. And at this point, I was like 100% sure that I didn't want to go back home with him because he already tracked my location and everything. And I just knew if I went back home that he was like, my life was going to be over. So when we're in the car, he's like, I'm coming into your dorm room and I'm looking in your closet. And in my head, I'm like, Dad, I'm not stupid. I've been hiding this like for my entire life. I've already hid all the clothes in my closet, obviously. But at this point, like, I don't want to lie to him. I'm like, Dad, you know what? I'm tired of lying to you. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to find anything in that closet. And he's just like so insistent on the closet. I'm like, I'm not having you come in and embarrass me in front of everyone like that. And he's like, if you don't show me right now, you're like, we're done. I'm driving off. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not happening. And he just drove off. Haven't seen him in 3 years. And then I didn't really understand what fully happened until a little bit later. What happened was my snake-ass brother who literally parties and goes out and comes home late at night and talks to girls and is literally a simp. And I know this because he literally flirts with girls that I know. Basically what happened was some girl was using my photos on my Instagram for her Tinder profile, and my Instagram was private. On my Instagram, I had a photo of me in my bikini when I went with my girlfriends to the beach, and my brother saw it on Tinder and told my dad. And my dad immediately just correlates bikini with sex, and he's like, oh my god, my daughter's a slut. She's sleeping around with people. So yeah, my dad just correlates me in that bikini, which was literally one time, which I'm not saying, I know it's disrespectful to the religion, and I'm not a very religious person, so I understand how he was feeling. It was very justified. But for some reason, he's like, oh my god, you're sleeping around with all these people. I'm like, Dad, who? Really, who? I have vaginismus. Fun fact, I didn't know I had vaginismus at the time, but I later did find out I had vaginismus. So he's like, if you wanted to have all this sex, you should have just told me and we could have married you off. And at this point, like, he just, like, I know that he did not believe me. So that was the conversation in the car, and then he drove off. And then all my family, literally every single person from my family, extended family, started calling me and being like, what the fuck are you doing? And for some reason, I thought this was so weird, but my older brother who snitched on me, and when my dad came home, and he found out that I didn't come home with my dad, he literally got all my clothes and threw them out and, like, punched a hole in my wall. Like, what are you so mad for? You're literally the reason this happened. You did not come to me and talk to me. Eventually, they gave me a condition. They're like, if you want to come home, you have to drop out of school and come back. And I'm like, that is not happening. And they're just like, fine, go ahead and be homeless. Your friends are not going to help you. Nothing is stronger than blood or whatever. And my friends did actually help me out, and they let me stay over, and I got back on my feet, and I'm doing great today. And I don't hold any grudge against my parents for doing what they did, because obviously I was so disrespectful to their religion and their culture and just everything like that. So, like, I'm not upset with them. And I know everyone's like, oh, how can you be happy without your family? You're living such a depressed life. But I honestly think it was for the best. I've accomplished so much more in my life and have changed so much as a person than I think I would have if I continued to stay with them. What pissed me off the most, though, was pretty much all the girls in my family were pretty much like me. They kind of hid everything behind their parents. We all collectively knew about it. And my parents and all our family members would just compare me to all these girls and be like, why can't you be like her? And I'm like, if you fucking knew. Anyways, I became this whole disgrace to my family, and yeah, that's what happened. I still don't know who that freaking girl was. I was using my Instagram photos for her Tinder. I still keep in contact with my little brother. He's the cutest thing ever. Like, literally when they kicked me out, he packed all my stuff into his little bag and came and found me when I, like, went to Toronto. He met up with me and gave me all my stuff, and he's just the cutest thing ever. But yeah, my family's doing fine. They don't associate with me anymore. I know people always ask me about this story, and I've said it so many times.
Okay, story time. If I quit my job so that I could post bikini pictures, and I'm not kidding. Okay, so I graduated college in the middle of COVID, so no one was hiring, and the first job that hired me was
a like recruiting job, which I was never born for. That is not my calling. That's not my truth. I'm the first one in my family to graduate from college, so my family was so proud of me that I had a job offer straight out of college, and I didn't want to let them down. So I decided to take the job, even though I was secretly like dreading it. But I remember like everyone was like, yay, congrats, and posting about it on Facebook and everything. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. My whole life, I've loved like PR, marketing, and social media, but I lived in Ohio. So like what was like, I don't know, in my head, there was nothing I could do. And I was just kind of like doomed to a life of like something I wasn't supposed to be doing, kind of. I don't know. So a couple weeks before I was supposed to start the job, I got a call from my boss, and she was like, hey, so we found your Instagram. So at the time I had like 5,000 Instagram followers, and I was like living my life, you know, like posting myself in a bikini by the pool, on boats, whatever I was doing, I don't know. Basically my future boss was just telling me that we can't have clients finding my Instagram page and seeing me in a bathing suit. So I have to delete my account or change my name on it and make it private and take down all of the bathing suit pictures. So this is like worst case scenario for me, for little Becca, because I was like, I love posting myself in a bikini. What? Like, I was heartbroken because I loved my social media. I didn't want to take down my Instagram. That was the only like light in my life at the time. So I get on LinkedIn. I look up the company. I find the men who are about to start the same exact job as me. I find their Instagrams. Guess who's posting in bathing suits? They are. But theirs is okay and mine's not. Misogyny, I'm just saying. So I quit. I called them back and told them I wasn't taking the job, and my mom was like, you're giving up a salary, a 9 to 5 with benefits for 5,000 Instagram followers. I was like, yeah. How many followers do you have on Instagram, Mom? 0? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. You're literally so jealous, it's insane. I was definitely letting my family down a lot. They were like really happy that I was about to have security, and now I wasn't. So they're like, what's your plan? And I was like, so that's the thing. I don't have one yet. So I drove over to our local bar, and I pretended like I had bartended before and asked for a job, and they gave me one. They ended up firing me, but they did let me work there for 6 months first, which was really nice of them, actually. But I had a lot of free time during the day, so I downloaded TikTok and started making videos, and I just hit 1 million followers and moved to LA. Thank God I never deleted my bikini pictures. So yeah.
I saw Lauren Gray do this, and I have to do it, so I'm gonna be ranking my traumatic experiences from 1 to 10. I'm strong at number 10. I'm gonna put my dad leaving when I was a child. That one was traumatic, but I think I was spared. Like, I think I actually like that happened. I don't know. Number 9 would probably be the time I went to school in my pajamas thinking it was pajama day, just to find out it wasn't pajama day. I ran home screaming, crying, throwing up, and I think about it in sweats to this day. Number 8 would definitely be the time that I got so drunk I drank an entire bottle of UV Blue, and I had to get my stomach pumped 3 times in one night. And I had to wear a diaper and shit in it. Yeah, I think about that one still. I think it's safe to say that having a stalker for 6 years would go as number 7. I feel like that's a really sweet spot to put it. You know, it's not number 10 and it's not number 1, but it's up there. Number 6 would probably be the time I was having cunnilingus and I chewed it a little bit. Oh my God. For the love of God, if that's ever happened to you, please comment and tell me, because I feel so alone in that experience. Every time I tell someone, they're like, that's so gross. Number 5 would be when I was 17 and homeless and had to keep all of my clothes inside of my 99 Chevy Impala. Yeah. The fact that I had a 99 Chevy Impala, like, what was I pushing in my little hoopty? Oh no. Number 4 would definitely be the time that my mom had a little bit of a manic episode and she had a Russian accent for a few weeks. That was scary for everyone else. Hilarious for me, right? So, I don't know. That's a fresh 4. I'd put that as a fresh 4. Number 3 is special to me because it's a dear memory of my stepdad that passed away recently, and I truly love him. It's kind of weird. I probably shouldn't, but like, I have so many fond memories of the guy. I just love him. Technically, he was a heroin addict, and he may or may not have taken me to a drug deal in the city where he left me in the car, and then when he came back out from said drug deal, he was being chased by the guy with a gun. So, that was like a little bit scary, but now I look at it and I'm like, oh, you're so silly. Number 2 would probably be the time that I was at work and I really had to go poop really bad. So I was like, I'm going to go in the bathroom and I'm going to use the handicap stall. No one knows we have a bathroom. What are the odds someone comes in and needs to use it? What are the odds? The odds are that I was midway through my doo-doo and I literally had a lady come in with a wheelchair. And wait. And wait. And I had to walk out. I had to walk out and know that she was about to go into my poops. Never use handicap stalls if you're not handicapped. I will never do that again. I felt like the worst person on earth. Coming in so fun and so fresh at number 1. The time that my grandma walked in on me watching Lesbian Corn on the Cob. Yes, that would be number 1. That was traumatic for so many reasons, one of which being the fact that it was 2 girls, 1 cup, and I was 10 years old, and I didn't mean to watch that. And I did watch it. The other one being the fact that it was my grandmother, my lesbian grandmother. Hi, Grandma. I love you. Get ready with me to go pay my driving ticket. And I say driving because I was not speeding and I was not on my phone. It was like a driving thing. And I'm only sharing this because I had no idea it was illegal. And so hopefully this helps you guys avoid the issue. And I'm probably just dumb for this, but I really had no idea. And I'm actually shocked I didn't know this because I've always been young for my grade. So I didn't actually get my driver's license until my senior year. So I did like private driver's ed. And I got 100% on the written test because I studied for it so long. Aside from this ticket, I've only gotten one other ticket in my life, and it was literally like a month after I got my driver's license. So it's been almost 10 years since my last one. So basically what happened was Hudson was at my mom's house and I was on my way to her house to go pick him up. And I was going on the freeway, and I'm not the person that merges late. Like, I merge early. I'm like a 3-mile ahead merger. I am not trying to miss my exit. And so like a good 3 miles ahead, I turn on my clicker and I'm trying to get over. And the car next to me, I don't know if they couldn't see me or if they just didn't care, but they wouldn't like speed up or slow down. So I could not get over. And after a mile or so of realizing this man's not going to speed up, I slow down. And then guess what he does? He literally slows down. Like, he would not let me get over. And a side note about me, I am not an aggressive driver. I never have been. I never will be. I only use my horn if I'm like in a life-threatening situation. So I didn't like honk at this man to be like, hey, speed up or slow down. So now my exit is here and I'm getting so frustrated because I'm like, I don't want to miss my exit, but this man will not like move. So I literally had to slow way down and then I zipped over to try to like get my exit. And we were only one lane away from the exit. Like, I wasn't like plowing through traffic. I just literally had to get over one more lane to be able to make my exit. And so I finally get over, I make my exit. However, I did have to cross that triangle piece of land. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, between the on-ramp and the road, there's like that extra strip of just like nothing. Come to find out later, it's called like the gore or the gorge or something. Anyway, I crossed that. Didn't think anything of it. So now I'm waiting on the on-ramp. I hit a red light and all of a sudden I see these lights flashing behind me. And I kid you not, I start pulling over. I'm like, oh, there's a medical emergency. Like, we gotta move. Didn't realize I was getting pulled over because I genuinely didn't realize I did something wrong. I'm probably dumb for this, but I really had no idea. And as I start pulling over, he like pulls over with me and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I getting pulled over? And then it all clicked that I was. So I'm like, what is this man gonna say? Like, what did I do? I'm very confused. I used my blinker. I wasn't speeding. I was on my phone. I wasn't doing anything. So he comes up to me and he's like, do you know why I pulled you over? You know? And I'm like, no, actually, I really don't. And he's like, you crossed the gorge or the gore, whatever it is. And I was like, I'm sorry, I crossed the what? And he literally just sit there and explained to me what it was. And once he explained it to me, I was like, oh yeah, I did cross that because I'm not gonna lie. I definitely did. But once I agreed, he just started laying it on. He's like, I was worried for your life. I literally looked at him, I was like, sir, I was nowhere near worried for my life. I was never close to the wall. I literally didn't even realize it was illegal. And then he proceeded to give me a ticket on my 10-year clean record. Anyway, so if you didn't know, don't cross the gore. It's illegal. You will get a ticket.
So I just moved to LA from Ohio, and by now I've met a lot of the influencers that live here, and some are great and really fun to be around. Others are more like the worst people I've ever met in my entire life. But other than that, they're nice people. Here's what it's like to meet the worst person you've ever met in your entire life at a party in LA. Okay, I'm me right now. Hi, I'm Becca. Hi. I'm a huge fan. I love you. Aww. Why do you look familiar? Do you comment on my stuff all the time? You big fan? No, I make TikToks too. You might have seen them. I don't know. I'm sorry. Aw, cute. That's probably not it though. I don't watch other people's TikToks. I'm busy. You are standing right in front of me. And Justin Bieber's at this party, so nice to meet you. Cutie, sweetie, love her. Here's what it's like to meet someone that you're mutuals with, but you're about to find out they're one of the worst people you've ever met in your entire life. Here's me trying to greet them, thinking that they'll be normal. Oh my God, Ashley. How are you? Who are you? Are you a fan? Hi. It's Becca. We were DMing this morning and yesterday and the day before yesterday. Becca. Oh, the Becca girl. How'd you get into this party? Who invited you? For real, who invited you? That was hard. It spent like 3 days trying to get into this party. But you are still doing the little ticky-tacky things that you're doing, right? Oh, cutie, cute. Love that. That's so cute. Keep doing them. One day they'll amount to something. I do TikTok full-time as well, actually, except mine are different than yours and different in a better way, you know? Like mine are actually good. That's cute of you though. Remind me the content you make. I just can't remember. Oh, they're the ones that are supposed to be funny. They're the ones that are supposed to be funny. Guys, aw. Okay. Yeah, I think I've laughed at one of them. Here's the part where I'm just gonna start name dropping some people by first name only. And for some reason I'm annoyed at them, but we're also best friends. Harry, Ariana Grande, yeah. She actually brought me here on her jet. Ugh, I hated it. I hate her. I hate her. I hate her. Kimmy and Kylie. They keep calling me every day. I'm like, I can hang out with you every day. I'm bored of you. I'm bored of talking to you. Can you go away? Wait, how many followers do you have on Instagram now? You wanna be on my story? Get on my story. Get over here. Cute. Thank you. Okay, bye. So yeah.
This is just next level fucking thievery. I'm gonna tell you a story. I'm gonna try to make it quick, but I suggest you don't have anything to do for the next 3 minutes or so. Now, I've helped people buy a lot of cars, but this one is literally something most car salesmen would say, that's fucked up. So I did a consult with a woman on a car deal after the fact. She did her entire car deal. Technically, she bought a slingshot, but for the sake of understanding, we're just gonna call it a car deal. Her car deal had issues, but that ain't what this is about. She's somebody that's been working on her credit, and she was afraid she wasn't gonna get approved. Well, her friend said, I know this dude you can go see. He can guarantee you that you get approved. This was not the salesman who sold her the unit. Apparently, this is a dude you can go in and see that guarantees you to get approved for whatever you want, regardless of your circumstance. So she goes in to see him, and she's like, okay, what are you going to charge me to do this? Because as you can imagine, he ain't doing it out of the goodness of his heart. He says, let's just worry about what we got going on first, and then we'll worry about that. But she asks, well, what do I need to do? He says, when you get to the income part, give me your phone. She does that. He enters an inflated income. Let's say that she makes $50,000 a year, and he put in that she makes $65,000 a year, which is not a guarantee to get you approved, because in most bad credit situations, they want proof of income. So my question would be, in the event that they wanted proof of income, was he also going to produce her some fake check stubs? But anyway, fast forward, she gets the pre-approval, everything's good to go. Well, he comes back a few days later and says, so you got approved, so why don't the two of us get together and talk about my payment? She's like, well, you never told me what that was going to cost me. She was thinking maybe like $200, which is way too much money to pay to be an accomplice to bank fraud. But he says, well, this couple over here paid me $5,000 to get her done. But since it's you, I'll just make you pay $1,000. $1,000? Or 1,000 macaroni noodles? What are we talking about here? Are you serious? So she meets up with him, gives him $200. He contacts her a few days later and says, where's the rest of the money? She says, that shit ain't right. I didn't agree to pay you no $1,000 for doing fucking nothing but pressing a couple buttons and making me an accomplice to a crime. No, thank you. Do not ever do that. If I had to guess, he's probably also running a rental service out of the used car lot. He's that kind. If you're in the market to buy a car, send me an email before you do it.
Am I wrong for sharing my son's teacher's Instagram account with the other parents? My son is 4, and this is his first year in preschool. His teacher is called Mary, and she's roughly in her early 30s, if that matters. We first met her on Monday when dropping him off, and I didn't get the best vibes from her, so I looked her up on social media. She posts provocative photos and is very active politically, going to marches and events and stuff like that. The vibes were already far from immaculate, but what I saw made me dislike her even more. I talked it over with my wife, and we decided to ask some of the other parents what they thought of her. We reached out to them and created a WhatsApp group where we started talking, and I shared her account there. It wasn't well received from most parents either, mostly because of the provocative photos. Nothing happened for a couple of days, but a fellow parent kept tracking her account, and she saw that she had uploaded a selfie with 3 of her students on Thursday. The parents were furious about that, and they went to the district supervisor first thing Friday morning. Since I was the one who started the group, he called me to confirm and hear my side of the story, and he asked me if I could come to his office in the evening. I did. She was there along with a few other parents, and we all started talking and trying to explain the issue. Voices were raised, and at one point, she started accusing me of stalking her and then sharing her account to perv on her with other dads. I was like, lady, I was just trying to see what kind of person is going to be teaching my son, but she wasn't having any of it and kept arguing. Things escalated even more, and the other parents demanded that she be removed from the class. I didn't outright concur to join with them, but I didn't object either. The supervisor ordered her to take down the photos along with any she had uploaded from her previous students, but he hadn't reached a conclusion. Rumor has it that he's considering placing her in another school because the year just started, but we'll find out Monday, I suppose. Anyways, was I the asshole here? Should I just keep my worries to myself? There's an edit. I can't respond to everyone, so I'll respond here.
Yes, the 3 kids' faces were visible. Their parents were among those of us who were present in the supervisor's office yesterday. 2. I wasn't the one who found the pictures, neither those of the 3 kids nor those of previous students. Provocative meaning thirst traps. If that's giving me pause for someone's credibility as a teacher makes me an asshole, then I guess I'm an asshole. 4. She's participating in a far-right party's event. I don't really vote or care about politics. I just don't like that particular party. I don't even live in the US.